The Sony FX3 II leaks have exploded in a way we have not seen in years. Overnight, the rumor cycle flipped from whispers to bold claims. A 24-megapixel stacked sensor, 6K open-gate recording, internal RAW possibilities, and even leaked registration data hinting at a major internal redesign. These are not vague predictions. These are coming from sources who nailed past Sony cinema launches. The idea that the next compact cinema camera could jump from a 12-megapixel low-light monster to a high-resolution stacked powerhouse is already huge. Pair that with ongoing talk of improved thermal engineering and early codename sightings in Sony's own registration logs, and the FX3 II suddenly looks like the most ambitious update in the history of Sony's small-body cinema line. The biggest and most consistent leak revolves around the 24-megapixel stacked sensor. For years, filmmakers have been asking Sony to give the FX line more resolution without sacrificing the low-light quality that made the original FX3 and Alpha 7S III so iconic. A stacked 24-megapixel sensor would be the direct answer. Stacked architecture means dramatically faster readout speeds, which translates to cleaner motion, far less rolling shutter, more consistent high frame rate performance, and the potential to oversample footage without melting the camera. That alone would change the entire identity of the FX3 series. Instead of being the low-light specialist, the FX3 II becomes the full-fledged hybrid cinema weapon. A camera ready for narrative work, commercial work, documentary work, and high-resolution delivery requirements. That sensor is also the foundation for the next wave of rumors, 6K recording. Some leaks describe open-gate 6K capture. Others mention oversampled 6K to 4K recording. Both scenarios would instantly push the FX3 II into direct competition with the Panasonic Lumix S1H, Canon EOS R5C, Blackmagic Cinema Camera 6K, and even Sony's own higher-tier models. This is no small shift. If the FX3 II delivers 6K capability in a compact cinema body, it becomes a workhorse camera for agencies, indie filmmakers, and hybrid shooters who need cinematic detail in a portable package. But then there's the truly spicy leak: internal RAW recording. This rumor has been gaining traction fast, and while it remains controversial, it's not being dismissed by the insiders who usually shut down impossible claims. Several leakers have said Sony has been experimenting with 12-bit internal RAW pipelines. One even mentioned a prototype that recorded at extremely high data rates without external recorders. If true, this would be monumental. Sony has historically locked internal RAW behind larger cinema bodies or required external attachments. Allowing internal RAW inside something the size of an FX3 would be a direct shot at competitors like Blackmagic, who have used this feature as their signature advantage for years. The FX3 II jumping into this territory would instantly disrupt that segment of the market. High frame rate leaks are also stirring excitement. 4K 120 frames per second seems to be the most repeated number, and it aligns with what Sony has already proven they can deliver. What has people really talking is the possibility of high-detail 120 frames per second with oversampling, something the original FX3 simply could not do due to its sensor architecture. Some more aggressive leaks mention 180 frames per second, but these claims remain more hopeful than confirmed. Still, the pattern is clear. The FX3 II is expected to push high-speed performance far beyond what the original offered. All of this forces one major engineering question: how is Sony cooling this thing? That's where the thermal leaks come in. Several industry watchers who analyze Sony's registration documents noted that new Sony model codes show higher power draw than the FX3. Higher wattage typically means more heat, which usually means either a bigger heatsink or an internal fan. This is where the leaks split. Some say Sony will finally add a microfan, similar to the Panasonic Lumix GH6 or Canon EOS R5C. Others claim Sony is determined to keep the FX3 II fanless to maintain weather sealing and keep the body compact. The more realistic prediction is that Sony has redesigned the internal airflow with a hybrid heat pipe system, possibly assisted by a low-noise microfan. If the FX32 truly offers 6K capability and internal RAW, a fan becomes extremely likely. Autofocus upgrades are another major thread in the leak cycle. Sony has been rolling out new AI processors with improved human and animal tracking. Leaks mention a new generation of subject recognition, faster, stickier, and better in unpredictable lighting. This would greatly benefit documentary and event shooters who rely on autofocus to move quickly. Combined with a stacked sensor, autofocus could see a dramatic improvement in responsiveness and accuracy. Ergonomics and body design leaks remain more divided, but a few themes appear repeatedly. Some whispers mention a redesigned top plate with improved tactile buttons, stronger mounting points, and a more robust hinge mechanism for the fully articulating screen. A few sources even hint at an optional EVF accessory, though this remains speculative. What seems more grounded is that Sony will refine the body rather than reinvent it, improving durability, grip comfort, and heat distribution without altering the FX3's compact footprint. Timeline clues also add weight to the leaks. Sony's production cycle usually begins with quiet registration filings, followed by minor product variations, then a major release. Recently, we saw the FX3 FX3A variant appear, which signals Sony is adjusting manufacturing pipelines. The launch of the FX2 shows Sony is actively updating the cinema line. Put together, these point toward the FX3 II being deep in development and closer to release than many people initially assumed. The real weight of the FX32 leaks is in what they reveal about Sony's strategy. Leak sources suggest the FX32 could land in a similar price band to the original FX3, around $3,800 to $4,200 for the body. Given the upgraded internals, that pricing would make it extremely competitive versus other mid-tier cinema-style models. For reference, the existing FX3 currently sells for about $3,899. If Sony sets the FX3 II here, it's a strong value play, offering serious next-gen video performance without breaking into the $6,000 plus true cinema class. Sitting squarely between the original FX3 and the FX6, it bridges the gap between compact portability and full production capability. Instead of treating small-body cinema as a lighter alternative, Sony is collapsing the distance between portable bodies and full-size production cameras. The FX3 II inherits the same color pipeline, workflow reliability, and production-grade consistency found in higher-end cinema line tools. This positions it as a versatile core of the FX series, where creators can rely on a single camera for both run-and-gun and studio-level shoots.